Hello, everyone. Coming here with another Kharadron Overlords Battle Report from ArmourCon 2021. Going to this tournament, I did bring the exact same list as New Orleans. Not too much to go over here, except for the fact that I did not mention last time Mount Trait Battle Ram on one of my Ironclads, which allows for the impact hits. The whole kind of theory there was versus Manfred in a couple of matchups. I didn't really have the mortal wound output without Gotrek in combat. So that was just a nice way to kind of finish things off that might be buffed up in armor and just kind of finish off with the charge of that. And the Ended Master with his Ether Charge Rune, on average, you can kind of put out about 3 or 4 mortals per person. So it's just a nice way to kind of get that mortal wound output to finish things off if you need to with the boats. Not that you want to be charging, but in case of emergency. So going into this tournament, a little bit about the field. It was a smaller 2-day tournament, about 17 or 18 people, I think. There was actually no chaos. It was all essentially orcs, wizards, cities, and then me as dwarves. I think there was like 1 or 2 ogre players too. So a really limited field, especially for a 2-day tournament. Wasn't super popularized, so just kind of a casual thing. Going into game 1, I was playing Nate Punches, who have actually played in a previous battle report. He had that Cities of Sigmar list with the Raptors in the old book when I went to the Summer Slaughter. So this was nice to rematch him. He's playing Coalesce Seraphon, which is super popular in the meta right now. He's rocking a Stegadon, a Skink Priest on Carnosaur, I think there, or Steg, 2 units of 5, the Cavalry. He's got the Lord Croak, as well as some Temple Guard back there. So pretty tight list. Obviously with Coalesce, he's -1 to all damage. So KO, not too much multi-damage, but my boats obviously rely on that 2 damage with a lot of their shots. So that could be a little more annoying. Turn 1, he gives the turn to me and I move up like so. I do aggressive expansion on this, hoping to kind of take an early lead. As you can see, this is the map tooth and nail. So there are objectives in each corner, 4 corners of the board. You can see I have my primary in my corner, and then I move Gotrek up to the top right one, and the boats down to the bottom left. He had some salamanders behind this building, so wanted to shoot them off. Salamanders typically do the highest rend and the highest damage output for this type of list. So getting that 2-pack off the board was key. I'm not within 18 inches of Lord Croak, so he won't be able to bubble damage me. And I was planning on using my Dispel Scroll for the Comet. So my plan was turn 1, kill off the salamanders. He charges into me, maybe with the one of the stags and maybe the knights, 1 in each boat, because of how that building was structured, was going to be hard for him to do a combo charge. And then I would turn 2, kind of flee back to where Gotrek was and try and shoot off what was, in the top section of the board, kind of making him commit, turn 1 to something to the bottom left here. So as you can see, that happens exactly so. He buffs the crap out of this Skink Priest on Stegadon and charges into my boats as impact hits. He is able to do 4 wounds with a shooting attack, I think, with that stag or the other stag. So going in, I'm at 14 wounds. I'm going to have a 2-up save, and I'm just eating this 1 stag. As you can see, that stag hit hard. I have not played versus Coalesce Lizards or a King Priest on Stegadon. In my head, I did not think it could 1 round an Ironclad, but clearly I did not do that correctly. Should have made a screen or should have been a little bit more defensive with this boat. Ultimately, he kills not just my boat, but the general, who dies on the way out. And going into turn 2, we're positioned as so. So, I'm still not out of this game. I figure that the objective in my corner of the board is kind of going to be good there. If I can get the turn 2 roll, I can kind of teleport to Gotrek and kind of hold down that flank and fight off Croak and those knights up there, while this stag in the bottom left corner is kind of rendered useless for 2 or 3 turns. But I get double turned, and he is able to get everything into my other boat. Because of how this list works, the Stegadon was not nearly as buffed as last time. In fact, he, because the skinks and other things weren't able to give him mortals or +1 to hit, he wasn't in range for that. So it wasn't going to be as deadly. However, those knights, I think, did get a buff on them. You can see that with stand and shoot, as well as in combat, I actually am able to kill off that 1 stag, surprisingly. And then on my turn, I kind of work to fight off those knights and drop everything out of the boat, preparing that it may die from Croak and others. And in fact, on his turn 3, he does finish off the other ironclad. So at this point, I'm in kind of dire straits. I was able to obviously kill off the stag, but my ironclads both being down, I'm going to basically be stuck with this block of 10 thunders now in the bottom left, which is fine. They can fight off that primary, as well as the unit of like 7 company in the bottom right there. So my big Hail Mary play is I have to make a 9-inch charge with Gotrek. I do have a reroll. So, I'm thinking that if I get this 9-inch charge, I'll kill off Lord Croak and I'll get my second pile in to probably kill off those Source Warriors. And then essentially the game will just be, he'll have 5 knights, 2 characters and that 1 stag, and I'll have Gotrek. And I actually feel good because I think Gotrek can take the top left. The 10 thunders can probably stay and hold the bottom left. And I can hold the bottom right with the company. Fortunately, I failed the charge. So the last remaining hope of this game kind of goes out the window here. At this point, I know that Croak's going to kind of just get away and he's going to be able to bully me in the magic phase as well as in the combat phase. And you can see exactly that happens. I think he summons a unit of Saurus with the Engine of the Gods in the bottom right there. He finally rolls a good roll. He kills off my unit in the bottom right and then works to pick off the guys in the bottom left. Gotrek is still behind the woods, but again, isn't going to really matter at this point. So we kind of call it there. Again, there's not really too much I can do here. The Gotrek charge was my last hope to kind of, pull this game back. If I was to kind of evaluate myself, while the double turn was pretty brutal, just respecting that stag a little bit more would have been smart. I could have probably killed off those salamanders from 24 inches away and been closer to Gotrek with my 2 boats. And moving forward this tournament, I kind of made a commitment for the 2 ironclads to kind of keep him by Gotrek. So if they are going to get charged by something, he always has to counter. It's something that I experienced a lot in, my games at home, and it is a limitation of this list. They need to babysit him or, that he's the only thing kind of keeping them getting like tabled and checked by double turn. But again, double turns are super rough for KO. And this is just an example of that. My opponent played well and I kind of took a line that I don't think was great, but that was that. Moving on to the next game, I went to Ironjawz with the Veins of Gur. For those that don't remember, this is the strategy where the tokens don't come down early, but when they do come down, they count for the turn amount. So 2 points, 3 points, 4 points, 5 points. So it's a game that really encourages tabling your opponent, kind of winning late, since you can make like a 15, 20 point swing turn 5. It really kind of rewards conservative play in aggro armies. So not my favorite battle plan. You can see he's in a 11 drop, I think. So he kind of gives, I give him the first turn, letting him move forward. I think the reason he took didn't take a battalion to be a 1 or 2 drop is because he wanted the extra artifact to give it to his big purple dragon, the cabbage, where if he does stomp, it's a D6 plus 3 instead of D3. It's an interesting trade-off. I think Ironjawz have a lot of great artifacts, so getting that extra artifact is definitely worthwhile. However, sacrificing the ability to be a low drop with such an aggressive list is a risk there. You can see the Swamp Crawl on the front, on the far right there with 3 pigs, as well as the rest of his brutes and stuff coming up. On my turn 1, I don't take any risks. I just reposition the boats, keep my screen engaged, make it so that everything's going to have like a long charge, except for maybe the cabbage. And I positioned Gotrek in such a way with the 3-inch coherency or blocking rule that he couldn't really get in. So you can see I made a little 3-inch bubble with dice and that dice holder. So now when he moves forward with the terrain and everything, he can only get so far. Funny enough, I think my navigator also hit the spell to half movement on flying creatures. So I think he was only moved 6 anyways. So it just really limited. He couldn't come straight at me, or if he did, he was going to have to hit my screened off boat. And so he couldn't get to the boat that didn't have the chaff in front of it. So he actually does make a long charge. I think he rolled a 10 or 11. So I think it's down there, and he maybe even did the 3d6 charge thing and gets into my boat. He takes me all the way down to 1 wound. And at this point, I'm able to make saves. So I had 4 or 5 ups I had to make to live, I think. And I do make those 4 or 5 ups. So super grateful there. I'm not saying it would have been GG if I didn't make these saves, but certainly would have been bad. I come back with Gotrek and I'm able to get into his cabbage. And then I'm able to shoot off the pigs on the far left flank there. You can see now that I'm starting to learn how to use PowerPoint. So I can't actually use my cursor and can use these red circles to show you when big things happen. And at this point, we clear each other out. He finishes off the boat. I finish off him with Gotrek. And this is the table state. At this point, I'm feeling okay. He is up quite a bit. But like I said, this is a scenario that with time you ramp up. So even though at turn 2, he has a lead on me, I know that at turn 4, turn 5, I can score a bunch and kind of get ahead. So as you can see here, my boat moves to the back left there. It is not dead. It drops off some dudes to kind of work on that far left objective. And Gotrek kind of moves in position to clear off everything on the right there. And Gotrek does what Gotrek does. He just wipes the crap out of his swamp crawler, buff dude, and the pigs. And I shoot off a brood or two with the boat. I think I was doing Savage Spearhead, or I was trying to contest that top left objective that came down. That's why the boat's all the way up there. He brings the Brute General into me and is unable to make the charge with the Brute unit, or maybe I stand and shoot them off. Either way, that General is no joke. For 170 points, he absolutely can at least threaten the Ironclad. It's going to be hard for him to one round through a 2-up, but he can put out, I think, easily 10 wounds on me, and that wouldn't even be crazy variance there. He does take me down. However, I'm able to finish him off in the next turn with shooting. At this point, it's kind of dire straits for him. He's just trying to play the objective game and run around with his war chantas and brutes to kind of fight the body game, since I really don't have bot numbers, but it's going to be tough for him. And you can see at this point, with shooting in combat, I just kind of clean up the board, and he just has the 2 war chantas left. And I think this was, you can see on the piece of paper, turn 4, turn 5. So I'm going to do that big 20-point swing to cap it off. I think I was already a little ahead, but this was definitely, the end of it. I think the big factors was, 1, he couldn't take down that boat turn 2 when he came in. Not saying that was the game, but that certainly was a huge deal, as it being allowed that extra turn made it way easier for me to clear the board state. And 2, I think he was a little bit aggressive. I actually think that this was a matchup where the cabbage could have just kind of played like linebacker or free safety and stayed on the mid board. I think anytime you're facing Gotrek with a big monster like that, committing it early and just trading is never really the right call versus me. I think the more that you can kind of just stay back and threaten the boat's landing spots and make me overextend is better. As long as you come into me, Gotrek we can just do that game where you'll kill a boat, Gotrek will kill you back, and I'll kind of be up at that point in a lot of instances. So again, he's playing Ironjawz like they're supposed to be. He's shoving forward, he's using the buffs, but I did have a good counter here and got some luck. Okay, round 3, we're going into Ironclad Madness. He had 2 Ironclads, I had 2 Ironclads. He's playing Tempest Eye Cities. I'm playing KO. I was talking to a friend. It kind of felt like when I was going into this tournament that Tempest Eye was going to maybe be something I consider. I'm getting really burned out with KO, and I have a Wood Elf army. So kind of using those 2 in combo to maybe get a Tempest Eye on the table would be some fun. So it was great to get this matchup in. I've actually never played versus cities before, so I was really excited. And we are playing First Blood here, where you kind of can get extra command points for those units, I think. So my turn 1, I move up and just shoot off some of his dark shards behind that building there. We did play Mystical Terrain, which is something I don't normally do, but he wanted it. And it is in the rules, so I obliged. So I go up, shoot off a couple of his dudes, get that objective marker. Again, remember game 1, I said I'm not going to overextend my boats. I'm going to keep them with Gotrek. So we're doing exactly that and kind of limiting where his Ironclads can go. His turn 1, he kind of just moves up a little bit too. I was surprised he brought both of his Ironclads so close to Gotrek. I think that I could have maybe made it to 1 on a 11 or 12 potentially this next turn. Again, he does get a good stand and shoot, and with the Hyrcanum, his Ironclads are +1 to hit and +1 to wound, so they're absolutely no joke. And the red one has the 46 gun, where it's able to really put out that high volume of attacks that you need to kill Gotrek. But the black one had the standard gun, so a little bit less scary, more high damage, less volume. So after this turn, I get the turn 2, and I go ahead and I charge into that black boat. You can see the one that's right to the right of the red boat, and I am able to kill it. If you remember, I do have impact hits, and I do have my general who does mortal wounds on a 6, so was able to 1 round that. and also put a wound or two on the other one. So this is his board state on turn 2. So this is bottom of 2. He kind of runs away from the brown boat and starts, moving back up after doing some rallies and buffs. And unloading into Gotrek. You can see he's kind of spreading his attacks. So nothing on my side is really dying, but he's just poking at all the boats and Gotrek. And what's going to happen here is there's a big roll off. So this is bottom of 2. I still have my whole army alive. Gotrek has 4 wounds in that building, or 3 wounds in that building, I believe. My boat in the top there has like maybe 4 or 5 wounds left, and my bottom's at full, or 14, it looks like. So if I don't get double turned here, I feel very good. Gotrek will heal up. He'll probably charge at the boat, or maybe that brick in the middle, and I'll use my 2 boats to kill off the dark shards and maybe the ironclad. So I feel awesome about kind of pushing forward. However, he gets the double turn. I don't roll very good for my heroic cavalry with Gotrek. I think I get a 1 there. So he not only kills my ironclad, but is the first person to kill Gotrek. So that was not ideal at all. And at this point, I feel like I'm massively on the back foot with just 1 ironclad remaining. And then he actually is able, on my turn, I maybe shoot him a little bit. And on his turn, he's able to just clean up. I mean, in this meta right now, the person who actually won the tournament was playing cities as well, and was a very shooty heavy list with a little bit of monster mash mixed in. But I think in this meta, or at least this tournament, a double turn on any of the top table is going to be deadly, because there's just so much shooting being brought to the table that when you can double tap those shooting turns, it sucks because you get no reaction. And I'm playing dwarves, so I understand I'm like the worst abuser of this, or one of the worst abusers. I think cities is better, but the fact that I get no reaction and you just get to shoot and then shoot again, and I'm just picking stuff up and I can't really hurt you back during those double turn sequences is brutal. And it does swing the game open. And I know that my double turns do a similar thing, but it just feels very oppressive when it happens to you. So at this point, I mean, I could talk through the rest of this game, but I have both my boats dead and Gotrek's dead. I mean, he's going to win this by a mile. So nothing really to talk about at the end of this. So moving into round 4, I am 1-2. Was pretty upset because, it was a smaller tournament field with some good players in it, but I felt like there wasn't any list that I couldn't beat with KO. And just going into losing twice was something I was a little surprised about so early in the tournament. So I was playing the big Waaaaaagh. He had the rogue idol, as you see. He had some Hobgrots. And behind that building, he had a wizard that knows the Hand of Gork, as well as some Bolta Boys. So you can see that early on when I move up, I wanted to be pretty conservative. I knew that with the Hand of Gork, he could teleport behind me with Brutes or the Cabbage or the Rogue. So I just kind of wanted to make it so that if he was going to teleport, I at least got 1 chance at dispelling. And since the wizard was so far behind that building, I did need to get my my Dispel Scroll character, the navigator, up so that I was in range to use it. I think that this time I actually failed to hit the 3 up to have movement on monsters. So he is able to kind of move up like so his turn 1. He just does Ferocious Advance. I think he knows I have the Dispel Scroll. So instead of taking a big risk, he just kind of plays conservative and is hoping for the double here. He was a 1 or 2 drop. So I had to go first. And I think that versus KO or versus shooting armies, when you're the melee alpha strike, you always want them going first so that you can try and get that double potentially. And in fact, that double does happen. I used the Dispel Scroll turn 1, turn 2, he rolled hot. So he is able to hand to Gork. For those that don't know how Big Wall works, or how cabbages work, you can charge in the hero phase. So he, in fact, is able to charge both my boats during the hero phase. He doesn't fight in the hero phase like he used to, but I don't get a stand and shoot. So at this point, I am a little bit nervous that he's going to take off 1 boat. Again, I could always come back with Gotrek. He's probably like I guess gonna be a 6 probably away from Gotrek now. But he actually did it in a smart way that if Gotrek comes back, he's going to be out of the game the rest of the game, because he'd be like in that far right corner. So between his Bolta Boys and the number of bodies and the Rogue Idol, I actually might struggle, I would say. So I actually take a risky move here. So you can see I actually bring Gotrek up and I just fly both the boats away. If you're wondering why both my boats aren't bracketed or dead after the dragon charged them, he attacked the general inside the boat. I don't know why he did that. I think that his mind was that the general inside the boat does mortal wounds. And he, in fact, kind of wanted to be grinding with me with the dragon. But I don't really understand the logic there with -1 to hit, +1 armor. like, even though he did kill my general isn't really the biggest threat here. So both my boats are still at full at this point, or at least I think he maybe did like a few wounds to the bottom of the boat on the right there. And at this point, he puts out Finest Hour, so it's harder for me to kill him, which is smart. And I am unable to kill him. So you can see my general dead there underneath the dragon. And on his turn 3, he comes up and charges me. So at this point, I am a little nervous. It's turn 3. His dragon's still alive. My boat is going to now be attacked by his dragon because he got the general out on impact hits. And the rogue idol is moving up to kind of threaten the other boats. So I'm a little bit worried. The one thing that I was happy about is he put the Hobgrots into maybe they're Hobgrots or whatever the goblin guys with swords and shields are. And they do mortal wounds on 5s and 6s. And I think he's throwing a bucket of dice, like 24, 40, 30, some high volume of dice at Gotrek. So in his mind, he's like, I'll put through with 5s to wound like 10 mortals on Gotrek. I'm rolling 3 ups, but if I even like miss like half of those, I'm down to 4. And then with his shooting unit, he could maybe finish off Gotrek. So that was his plan. In my opinion, don't even charge Gotrek there. Just like put them 3 inches guarding the thing, make me charge you, because you're still going to get to do the 5s and 6s thing. And you don't have to worry about me killing you on your turn. So because of that tactile error, I am able to kill him on his turn. And I think I'm able to dink and dunk his dragon down. I think going in, the dragon had like, looking at the dice there, he had 14 on him. So I just needed to do 4 wounds. And he was out of CP. So he was just like, I just put a volume of attacks with the boat and the guys ended on him. And a stand and shoot, I think. No, he hero phase charged. So I was able to kill him off. That was a little bit of luck. And then on the other end, Gotrek's able to kill the unit of Grots off, or whatever they're called. So this is my turn 3 now, I think. And what I'm thinking here is, okay, with this mission, when the boats kill his like marked units, I get an extra point. And when Gotrek kills his marked units, I get an extra point. So boat killed dragon, Gotrek killed that unit of hob dudes, whatever. So now I just got to kill a rogue idol with Gotrek and I'll have 3 free points there. And even though I'm down, as long as I can stop his grand strategy and win the late game, I can get back in this. And that's exactly what happens. I'm able to actually kill his rogue idol, the big stone monster with Gotrek, which is what he does best. I run the boats away just to keep them alive and kind of contest some objectives. And I'm able to, I think, snag a double on turn 4 here. And this is going to kind of seal it. So at this point, Gotrek's down to like 2 wounds. You can see he has like 6 on him, but it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to finish off the board. I kill his wizards, I think, down there. So he can't be teleporting and stealing objectives anymore because I kill him. And that's going to be a game there. So that was 2-2. I think summary of this game in the end was that he did a really smart thing by kind of charging on the backside of me and hero phase charging. I think that was a good choice. His mistakes, though, were probably putting the Hobgrots into Gotrek for the kill run rather than just kind of standing next to him and being like, I'm going to contest this objective. You can kill me when it's your turn. And I think targeting the general, obviously, in the boat instead of just killing off the one boat when he did get the turn 2 charge was a big deal. So that was that. I'm now 2-2. I was actually playing my buddy who was 0-4 here for the last game. Again, it was a smaller tournament. This was his first Warhammer tournament ever. So he had played 40K, but just started AOS. That's why I was actually in Boston, was for him. Round 1, he played our other good friend, Nick. So it was all full circle. He started with our friends that were all staying together and we finished here. I've never played him before. And I told him that my army was a little oppressive for a newbie, but he was excited. The mission was powers and numbers. And what powers and numbers do is that you can pick up and flip the markers. And you can only contest with battle line units if there is a battle line unit there. His whole army is essentially just bricks of battle line handgunners and swordsmen. So actually a pretty solid mission for him. And again, I'm pretty low battle count. So this is a tougher mission for me. I kind of have to just pressure and steal early. So early on, I kind of wipe out his left flank of flagellants and pistoliers and put Gotrek behind that building. The 2 steam tranks and 4 Hellblaster volley guns are definitely a threat to Gotrek. That's a lot of attacks. So wanted to make sure that he was safe. His turn 1, he moves up as so. Again, he picks off some of my dudes on the back line there, you can see. But he's really just kind of trying to guard objectives and get into position to blast Gotrek. And actually, he does just that. So he gets a double turn. So he blasts Gotrek turn 1. I heal up. He blasts Gotrek turn 2 with the steam gun. And I think it's one volley gun maybe could see him. So you had 2 steam guns, pistoliers, and the horseman shooting at him. So it wasn't too much, but it still was like potentially, I think maybe 15 or 20 saves, armor and 3 up. He's unable to kill him in the shooting phase, so I feel great there. He then goes ahead and charges the steam tank to go try and take that objective, which my 5 dudes are on. Unfortunately, the steam tank fails to kill the 5 dudes on the hill. I think I was at like +2 armor with the hill ++1. And I just used my command point not to break. And that was a big deal because, like, they're battle lines. So steam tank can't take battle line units from them. He does go ahead and flip my 1 token that was in the bottom left there with this, the fast cav. And then he kind of still holds all of his objectives. So at this point, he's actually up. He wasn't able to kill Gotrek, which could have been a game breaker, and he wasn't able to kill my core. So he did fail battle tactic, but he's looking good on the primaries. He is able to kill my small guys during combat turn 2, or on my turn 2. I just kind of move up like so to blast and attack. You can see I put some wounds through on the steam tank and kill off the remaining of the fast cav because they are super annoying for stealing my objectives. And then on my turn 3, I think I get the double now. I kind of move up like so. At this point, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm going to try and kill off the steam tank with the ironclad, and Gotrek's going to try and get into the other steam tank. And I'm going to continue charging and pressuring the north side with my other boat. And that's exactly what happens. You can see Gotrek gets into the tank, the boat gets into the sword's flank, and the boat in the top gets into his shooting gun. So at this point, I feel pretty good that I'm defending my back line now, and I can start threatening his to steal and flip objectives. Again, every turn you hold an objective, it counts as more points the next turn if you flip it. So the game is to play long. All right, so at this point now, you can see that I have done quite a bit of damage. He is hoping now to get a double for turn 4 so that he can run down and hopefully steal the bottom right objective marker there with the handgunners. He also charges. You can see we have a nice little epic war there in the middle. So that was his swordsman kind of fighting on the ironclad, which I thought was a cute little thematic picture next to a house. So he does get the double turn, so he's able to run down, I think, and take it. My objective in the bottom right there, that is. And yeah, you can see at this point, I'm just kind of moving along. The big decision here was now on his turn 5. He was hoping to win the roll-off because he was hoping to go from bottom of 4 to 5, flip the bottom left one, and then hold on to his top right one and flip it. I think it still would have been not enough points to win the game, but he was just trying to kind of get that long bomb. He doesn't get another double, so I'm able to kind of go ahead here and shoot off the rest of his army and finish him off. So in conclusion, he brought a lot of like handgunners and swordsmen and kind of weaker units. The double steam tank was nice, but the fact that it really isn't that good in combat makes it a little bit of a liability, I would say. And it's not that hard to kill. I mean, it's just a 3-up armor save, 14 wounds. So there's a lot of stuff in the game that gets through him now. The Hellblaster seems solid, but in general, his army just kind of lacks speed and flexibility. So we talked it through. I think he'll be adding a General and Griffin or a Frost Phoenix and maybe a Hurkanum to his future list to just get some more utility and fire, like concentrated firepower in it. So in conclusion, went 3-2, did a little bit of a submarine there, but was happy to go 2-0 on day 2. Like I said in my last battle report, KO, just like their reliance on a double turn is so brutal for them. I think if there was no double turns in the game, the army actually would be in a better place, because I think me getting doubles is usually pretty impressive, and I think my opponent getting doubles is usually terrible for me if they're in combat. So it just kind of leads to problems. I also don't have chaff, and I think we're getting in an addition now where chaff and screening like lanes is going to be really important as we move forward, just because there's so much like awesome hitting things that are fast. So I'm going to be moving over to Belcourt, I think, for next year, and Legion of the First Prince. And then from there, maybe another army, I don't know. So super excited to kind of switch it up and do some more interesting battle reports. I feel like these are a lot of just, I shot them, or my ironclad got charged and it's dead now. So a little bit less one-dimensional lists. I will kind of save the KO and keep working on them. I'm not sure I'd run double Ironclad again. I think that a single Ironclad with Warp Lightning might be a more balanced and better list, but I just am not, like I said last time, the book, it's not that high of a win rate. Like I keep going 3-2, and I feel like there's a couple of tournaments where I could have probably gone 4-1, or the one day airs I'm going 2-1, but it's just double turns make it really rough to play. It's not that fun for me or my opponent sometimes when I'm just blasting them, and I just kind of want to have a more interesting game that plays in every phase. So that's my battle report. Hope you enjoyed, and thanks for watching.